How are we all doing? We'll have a wee fuck around for about 5 minutes on the guitar on this tune, waiting for folk to filter in, and once folk have come in a bit, we'll get the stream started. I have absolutely no plan for tonight, as ever, but it's good to be back. Let me have a bit of a fuck around on the guitar. I've got a new pedal from my brother for Christmas, so we'll have a wee play on that. Thank you, Rosie, I appreciate that. And obviously we'll get to the wine tasting as well. I'm assuming folk have started to filter in at this point, so we'll just get started. And then first, welcome to anyone who's new. That's fun. We always like new folk coming about. So the way that we normally do things, if you're new here, is basically I drink a bottle of wine, I play some music, and I chat about whatever's on my mind. It's normally a pretty chill space. Nothing, we try to keep things pretty chill here on the streams, because the rest of the content here can be so unrelentingly grim. We're gonna be the only things that are on my head, I guess. Talk about unrelentingly grim. There is the ICJ case ruling tomorrow. There's not much we can talk about that because the ruling's not until tomorrow. The other thing we've seen, big sort of politics stories. are things like UK trying to drum up the possibility of conscription if we go to war with Russia, which is not going to happen. And then this former Scottish First Minister's WhatsApp messages being reviewed by Parliament, where she said that Boris Johnson was about as useful as a marzipan dildo, which is just very funny. I'm not one of the people who cares all that much about buys into the hype of Nicola Sturgeon, but you gotta hand it to her. She was right. Hello from New Zealand. Yeah, well, welcome from New Zealand and to anyone else. Lex Friedman podcast debate appearance when. If I could do a Lex Friedman podcast where I was just in a chicken costume the whole time and talked about chickens. I don't really know who Lex Friedman is. The first time I've heard of him is that Destiny Ben Shapiro shit, which I'm not going to watch because I have a life. Okay, so first things first, wine. We've had this one before. Wine has gotten so expensive. 1 second, I'm going to sort out my light. I do have a life. I have things that I do. I have friends. I have a life. Just because I spend 2 Thursdays a month on stream drinking wine by myself and digital friends, doesn't mean I don't have a life. Okay, so the wine today is Vinasol. Vinyasol. I better remember to do my Duolingo today. I think we've had this one before. It was on deal down from like £8.50 to £7.25 or something. It's got a picture of a crab on it. So I guess this was the Henry Kissinger death wine. Given the crab. Fresh, fruity, dry. This is in German. Frisch, fruchtig und trocken. Fresh, fruity and dry. Apparently they care for the earth. That's all it says. Fresh, fruity and dry. I wonder why German is the first thing that they put on when it says product of Spain. It's a vegan wine. That's nice. There's no fish guts in it. I can't remember what it tastes like. So we'll see if I can see if it's fresh, fruity and dry. You gotta pour yourself, as every sommelier knows, you have to pour yourself a nice big measure anytime you're doing wine tasting. Fresh, fruity and dry. Oh, it's a bit that, isn't it? That's fun. You gotta pour yourself a nice big tasting glass. That's what they always say. You don't want to taste just a small amount. Famously, you don't want to taste just a small amount of wine when you're tasting it. That's why it's a full body, because it's filling the body of the glass. It's not bad. It's not good. It's not worth £8.50 or whatever I didn't pay for it. And it's not worth £7.45, how much it was on deal. Outrageous that's how much wine costs. The cheapest one in there was like a yellowtail, which you used to be able to get for like £3 about 5 years ago, and there's now like £6.50. Outrageous. Sorry, I'm not going to just complain about wine prices the whole time, but it is outrageous. Fresh, fruity and dry, yeah. Welcome Neil, welcome Liz, welcome everyone. Does it taste like crab? It does. I don't think I've ever had crab. I'm allergic to shellfish, or intolerant. It's not a full allergy. I vomit anytime I have shellfish. I don't think I ever had crab. I only figured it out after eating mussels 3 times. I used to really like mussels, and it took me like 3 times eating them and puking up to be like, hey, this isn't going well. These aren't going well in the old tummy department. So we're probably not gonna be able to do this anymore. You know, I only went vegetarian a couple of years later, so I guess I didn't miss out on much. But I don't know. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it does taste like crab, and I don't know. Hey, Mithril, thank you for the super chat. Cheers. For the next stream, we've got an extreme wine paid for. Thanks to Mithril. Woof. So Scottish being complaining about the price of things. I guess so. There are some stereotypes that bear out, isn't there? It's unfortunate. Maybe there's a reason. The reason why dwarves are all Scottish in fantasy these days is to get rid of any of the anti-Semitic stereotypes and just make it anti-Scottish racism. Because now, like, all the Scottish dwarves are just mean, and it's okay because it's anti-Scottish racism. The only acceptable form of racism. Oh, hello, Soul Bunny. How's it going? Yeah. For anyone who doesn't follow Soul Bunny, go and check out Soul Bunny's channel and subscribe. Doing good work there. And hello to Sarah. 1 second. Apologies. One second, just got to reply to this text. So it's my sister. I have to reply to my sister. I have to be good. I know this isn't exciting streaming content for you all, but I got to reply to my sister. All right. There are so many creatures that are anti-Semitic in origin. Yeah, I mean, the dwarves being in Tolkien, and from where like a lot of modern fantasy stuff comes from is obviously from Tolkien. We're like quite explicitly anti-Semitic, and then he was like, oh, whiffed that one a bit. Maybe we should make these less anti-Semitic. And I think one of the ways that they went about that, I think the reason that dwarves in fantasy now all end up with Scottish accents is because of the animated Lord of the Rings film, where they tried to get round, like they were either going to be Nordic or Scottish, but no one could like do Nordic, because that was like the second inspiration after anti-Semitic ones that Tolkien used, was Nordic peoples. So, but no one could do Nordic accents, and they thought they would have sounded a bit silly in the animated Lord of the Rings film. So they made them Scottish, and from that animated film, a whole sort of just idea that dwarves in fantasy are all Scottish just appeared and ran. So now you know, if I'm ever playing D&D, if I'm doing my normal voice, I just have to be like, I'm not a dwarf. I'm not unless, you know, I've never played a dwarf in D&D, because I'm consciously going against that. But it's interesting, isn't it? The weird overlaps of different national stereotypes, because it's a bizarrely pervasive one that Scottish people are like mean with money. That go, like, countries across Europe that have no connection to Scotland at all have this idea of Scottish people as mean that's just been projected, and I think that's really interesting. The truth is, every one of John's D&D characters are just 3 dwarves in a trench coat. That's right. That's right. My current a Scottish person playing. Sorry, I can't. I have to pop out this chat because it's annoying. A Scottish person playing an elf with a Scottish accent would be funny. Yeah, that would be quite funny. Although I did in a previous game play a half elf with an Australian accent, and it was quite good. But he was ejected from his elfin world because he wasn't airy fairy enough. He wasn't like down with the elf hoity-toityness, and he had this an Australian accent. What's the next video topic? The next video topic is Chicken Run 2. I was hoping to get it out sooner, but I've just been incredibly busy. Yeah, we're gonna be doing Chicken Run 2. Where's mine? There we go. Which should be out not next week, but maybe the week after. Unfortunately, there's not as much on the bones of Chicken Run 2 as there are on Chicken Run in terms of communist stuff. So we are gonna be doing some shit, making some stretches, and just having some fun with it. I was originally going to do it with a friend of mine. We were going to write the video together and you know, do like a Zoom sort of interview thing with it. But unfortunately, she got too busy with work, so we had to go sort of back to the drawing board with it. Yeah, I'll be re-watching the movie as soon as possible and getting it written and stuff as soon as. I realised I forgot to interview the chickens about Chicken Run 2 being communist. I forgot to interview them, which is a massive oversight on my part. So there'll be no chicken interviews. Why is my camera unfocusing? There'll be no chicken interviews this time, which is unfortunate. But we will overcome. We will fill up that gap by having me dressed as a giant chicken for the entire time. And that onesie is very comfortable. I will be wearing it anytime I'm hungover. So, you know, if you ever see me tweet that I'm hungover, you know that I will be wearing that chicken onesie. I remember my grandmother survived. Do I watch any of those funny 60s communist films by Europeans? I don't think so. I'm not a huge cinephile in that sense. New fan of your videos, so I'm not caught up on all the previous work, but love it so far. Thank you, I appreciate that. Just finished the gender studies degree, and I'm missing the discourse, so your videos are greatly appreciated. Oh, great discourse. I didn't know people missed discourse. I'm glad that you're enjoying the contributions to the discourse. Is Chicken Run 1 now retroactively the greater vegan work because Chicken Run 2 didn't fit as well? I mean, Chicken Run 2 is equally as vegan, I'd say, as Chicken Run. It's just less explicitly communist because of the form of the film that they've done it in. It's also just not quite as good. It's just, unfortunately, I mean, Chicken Run 2 was fine. It wasn't good enough to be noteworthy, and it wasn't bad enough to be noteworthy. It was just like, yeah, it was entertaining and it was fine. So I wasn't like mad about it or anything, but it does mean there's less to talk about, unfortunately. I think we can squeeze about 30 minutes of content out of it. I might still try and get my friend to do like a Zoom call to chat about it, and just record the Zoom call one night and sort of filter it in if she's got time, just to get some more content out of it. There's bits and pieces to talk about. There's some stuff in there. A lot of it, I think, is going to be about gender abolitionism. Family abolitionism. Maybe gender abolitionism as well. Family abolition is part of communist stuff. That's probably the most fruitful vein to dig for Chicken Run 2. Oh, I forgot about that caveman football film. I never saw that. Isn't even making Chicken Run 2 an insult to Marx himself? No, I mean, there's the way that they did. There's the central idea of how they did it is how they should have done it, and how I would have gone for it as well. And there was interesting things to talk about there. It's just not as good a film, unfortunately. So they didn't quite get the same level of like pure like greatness that Chicken Run 1 produced. I mean Marx, it's really the capital volume 2 of Chicken Run. In that, it feels a bit less complete. It feels less totally thematically tidy. But it's still, it's still got the core ideas in it. It's still working away, and in some ways develops those ideas. It's just trying to make that into something that's about 30 minutes long as a video is going to be a challenge. But we'll see. Oh, I watched the Pirates one. I think I thought about this when I watched the Pirates one quite recently. The problem with trying to make the Pirates movie, try to do like a critique of it, is that it's utterly bizarre, and there's so many different things going on, bizarre things going on, that it's like try to nail down a specific critique is just difficult. I don't know why my camera is not focusing well today. Maybe it's not light enough or something. It doesn't, Liz. It doesn't ruin the first film. That's like that was something I was worried about as well. Like it's not it doesn't live up to the first film, but it certainly doesn't ruin the first film. Darwin is in the film, and Engels often compared Marx to Darwin. Well, you know, I wouldn't necessarily think I wouldn't say it's to Marx's credit to be compared to Darwin, either in the Pirates or just generally. So I guess that's not something I would be leaping to try and fit into a Marxist framework. No, but yeah, Chicken Run 2 doesn't ruin Chicken Run. It's just not quite as good, and it's a bit forgettable as a movie. It doesn't ruin anything. It's not like what are some sequels that ruins the original in certain ways? I think the most important part of the Pirates movie is that all of that Queen Victoria is the villain, and just wants to consume everything, including all these rare animals, which is fun. Yeah, I guess we're watching the first 10 minutes. We'll give you an oversized impression of the first 10 minutes of the film. Yeah. So that's Chicken Run and Pirates for you. Will we get another tune on the go before we move on to anything else? Highlander 2. I never saw the sequel to Highlander 2. Sequel that ruins the original. I don't know if The Force Awakens ruins the original. The sequel that ruins the original. A sequel that ruins another film in Star Wars is the Rise of Skywalker. That's the one that ruins any of Star Wars. The prequels to some extent as well, because they're not good. The Rise of Skywalker. I recently was just like watching, you know, to anyone who's not seen it before, I'd just say don't bother watching Rise of Skywalker, because it's just not good. It's just not a good film to watch. It ruins all the good work that was done in The Last Jedi, unfortunately. So I just pretend it doesn't exist. And you know. Highlander 2 is set in 2024. Oh wow. Maybe we should what I can't riff on it. I've not seen Highlander 2. I've only seen the original Highlander. The Rise of Skywalker makes the prequels. What the Rise of Skywalker, like, I don't even think it makes the prequels look good. It just like it makes them look like a human had an idea. Like, because the Rise of Skywalker feels like it wasn't done by a person. It feels like it was done by a committee, and there's no humanity to it. At least the prequels, like, for the stiltedness of the dialogue and the bizarre decisions, you're like, yeah, a human did this, and it wasn't good, but at least a human did it. And the Rise of Skywalker, you're just like, this is movie by focus group that's trying to maximize profit. There's no human element to this. The Last Jedi is the only Star Wars movie I find even watchable. I mean, I'd certainly, aside from probably Empire Strikes Back, it's certainly like by far the best one in so many ways. Like, it's just like you're watching it. I was watching it recently with my partner, and up until that point, she'd never seen Star Wars before. None of the Star Warses before, and we were watching them through. And she'd been enjoying like them episodes, 4, 5, 6. They were fun and they were good, and there was like fun stuff about like the like filmmaking and like good practical stuff. And then and The Force Awakens was fun and fine. But then we watched The Last Jedi, and she was just like, yeah, this is this one I'm actually just watching going like, this isn't just a good Star Wars movie, this is just a good movie. It's just functionally just a very good movie with lots of very good parts that all fit together very well. And yeah, the only other thing that that lives up to it in the Star Wars sort of universe is Andor, which we also watched, and Andor is fucking brilliant. Oh, we've not even had a stream since the last video, so yeah, we could talk about that a bit as well. I'd put The Force Awakens at maybe like a 6 out of 10, 6 or 7 out of 10. There's enough good moments in there for it to be an entertaining movie, competent, entertaining, decent movie. The Rise of Skywalker was just terrible, just not good in any way. To try and take everything that was, the reason it ruins it's not just that it's a bad movie, it's that it takes anything that was potentially interesting and could potentially have improved Star Wars as a thing that they did with the Last Jedi, and just goes, fuck that. We're sticking with the eugenics, and we're gonna make eugenics, permanent forever, in Star Wars, and we're gonna make sure every potentially interesting decision is fucked because a bunch of Reddit nerds are very angry. Me Panther is just dead wrong. I mean, the Last Jedi is by far the best out of any of those films. Probably the best. I would rather watch it than The Empire Strikes Back. I think it might be a better movie, but it's hard to judge that given the culture, the way that The Empire Strikes Back changed the sort of landscape of film for a long time, for just filmmaking. The type of like that cliffhanger twist ending is just something that it's hard to sort of figure out the impact of without having lived through. But aside from that, The Last Jedi is just fundamentally, it's just a good movie. That's done better than maybe any of the other movies. Just is. It makes Star Wars interesting. The Force Awakens was definitely just a homage, I guess a retread to some degree of the original, which was good. Oh yeah, I remember the Star Wars gravity argument's really funny, because it's like, on the first level, oh hiya Sam, how you doing? Glad that your cough's better. Yeah, the gravity argument's always bizarre to me, because it's like, first of all, stop trying to make gravity a thing in Star Wars. That's a fool's errand. And secondly, that would have been fine. Like that's how gravity something falling and then going into zero gravity. That's how gravity works. Yeah, so that's always I think the most bizarre criticism. That and the where people get really mad about the light speed RAM thing, which is like, I remember watching that in the cinema. I don't know if I've ever been in a cinema as quiet as in that moment, because it was just such like a cool and like shocking moment in the film, and then people were just so angry about it for bizarre reasons that don't matter. You're like, come on, have some joy in your heart about how good this was. Andor, obviously, as is great. Andor is is just a great series. This thing? People are talking about like Marvel Joss Whedon humor. I don't. This is a thing that seems to have just been. I don't recognize that at all. I don't know if there is that in the film. I wouldn't watch Last Jedi and be like, that's some Joss Whedon dialogue. Like, to some extent, there's that in The Rise of Skywalker with some really lazy dialogue. But if we're just talking about like lazy dialogue, then that's something else. Rogue One is a mess. Rogue One's an interesting movie because it is such a mess, and that there's so many good and interesting bits in it. Like, you know, a film about the moral complexity of fighting a war that is like you're scrappy people, you've got no funding, and you've got to act violently and viciously, and the effect that has on the people actually fighting the war is like an interesting thing. But then so much of it is just a mess. So much of it is just like a mess, and a lot of stuff is quite boring. And it's a really strange film that I wish it was less messy. Because, well, I mean, if it was less messy, then it might have been as good as Andor the series. Yeah, it's a strange film. They fly now. Yeah, that's some really bad dialogue. Yeah, the Darth Vader scene is a good scene, and I think it is good that it's a film where all the main cast die is a good thing. Now, to make the main character less, yeah. I think, well, the main reason it was a mess is because it went through different directors and different productions and stuff all the way through, so it just ended up being a mess. You know, studio interference, all that stuff. Which is unfortunate. Test screening said she was too assertive. That's depressing, isn't it? I love Rogue One partially for what it could have been. Yeah, I get that. Rogue One had heart and revolutionary spirit. Yeah, unfortunately it was also a massive mess, which is a shame. There is no solo film. I remember, like, the solo film's weird because I always forget it exists. And like when you're watching it, it's not like technically bad. You're like, you can enjoy yourself watching it, and you're like, this is fun, it's fine. Ignore it being a solo film. And then as soon as you stop watching it, it's like the silence from Doctor Who. You stop looking at it and it just evacuates from your brain. It's a completely ephemeral film with no staying power at all, which is kind of fascinating. It's like it's not bad enough to be memorable. It's so solidly mediocre that it just disappears from your brain after you finish watching it, because you can't be like, oh, I enjoyed that or I hated that. It's just gone. It's like a sheet of A4 paper. It's not, no one's angry at a sheet of A4 paper. It's just there, and then when you look away and you're asked to describe it, you're like, it's flat. The way Han Solo got his name, yeah. It was like, what's your name? Han. And you're on your own? Yes, Han Solo. it's just... But I'm not even mad about that, because it's just so silly that it's so banally silly. Banally. It's so banally silly that, you know, I can't get mad at it. It's like, all right, yeah, sure. He was going through a turnstile and needed a name. Yeah, what an origin. Oh yeah, I forgot about the droid. See, that's what I mean. I just forget about everything about it. Cause you just forget about it. That was very strange how they had like droid liberation and then becoming enslaved to the ship. It's very weird. So Soul is definitely a movie that you put on in the background while you were doing like a jigsaw puzzle or something, and like every now and again there'd be an explosion or someone someone like or something, and you'd look up and you'd be like, and then you go back to doing your puzzle. And I say that as someone who doesn't like doing jigsaw puzzles, so that's the sort of level it's like. Sometimes it's less interesting to me than a jigsaw puzzle. I will pronounce banally any way I want. Sorry, I got a bug in the room. Yeah, they should have. I think the droid stuff is an area of Star Wars that is like a legitimately rich area to do some expanding universe stuff. If they weren't just totally obsessed with shoehorning in every previous property or whatever into some absurd fucking narrative about a Clone Wars character or or a previous original trilogy origin story shite. If they actually just did something interesting like about droids somewhere, it could be good. It is. Yeah, it's a shame that they did it kind of so badly for in Solo. What's wrong with jigsaw puzzles? They're just boring. I don't know what to tell you. It's like was doing one over Christmas, and I was like, this is really boring. I watched all 3 extended Lord of the Rings movies while doing it, which is what I needed, because I needed something interesting to do while doing a jigsaw puzzle, because I can't do that for so long. I just find them boring. I'm sorry. It's not my thing doing jigsaw puzzles. Like it feels like something that, oh yeah, maybe I'll enjoy doing this jigsaw puzzle, and then like you take out all the pieces and you're like, this is just sorted. This is just tidying. This is just tidying as a game, and I'm not keen on that. It's not my thing. Oh, I like Lego. Lego's great, but Lego's not something you're not building something. I never liked Lego where you were building something that they told you to build. I liked Lego that you built your own thing in your head. I didn't like. Maybe we're getting into this sort of psychology of me. I don't really like being told what to do, and maybe that extends to instructions. And the sort of the instructions of a puzzle tell me, you know, you've got to fit these things together to make this picture. Maybe I take against that. But I did like making Lego. I always made my own things with Lego though. Let's change up the music, and then we can talk about something else. Whatever anyone else wants to talk about. As ever, while I'm building a tune, think of questions and shit like that, and then we'll get to them once the tune's finished. fun. All right. Any discussions? Let's have a look in chat. See if anyone's got any questions or anything. Custom Lego. All right, nothing. It's a fun one, isn't it? I quite like how that turned out. Oh Christ, job hunt. I mean, there's not a huge amount of job hunt stuff going on. And people talk about like AI stuff here, or someone was David. Were you just asking me about how my job hunt's going? Someone asking about pinch harmonics. Do I use them? I've done pinch harmonics now and then. It's not. I just find them kind of annoying to play. And talk about AI as a potential for something. I don't know. I need a bit more to work with in terms of that question. Questions of AI. Yeah, my job hunt is going poorly. I spent today not doing a job hunt, but I've got bits and pieces of work coming in that are tiding me over. So today I was doing I was making a video for a distance learning class that's at my university, and the topic was on like human rights and economic and social human rights and like inequality. So I spent today basically writing and recording a video for that class for about for some money for that, which is good. I need some money coming in. I've got a marking job, which is sort of a job. It means I've got in 2 different months I have a marking work to do, which will give me a little bit to tide over. That'll be in February and in like August, so that's something. And I've got I'm doing like an upgrade Viva for someone in a few weeks when the other examiner gets his shit together, and is a friend of mine, the other examiner. He's very busy but he's very scatterbrained, and he's very good. But once he's taken a look at the stuff, and we can talk and get this person's upgrade Viva, and that's another bit of work that's coming in. So I've got dribs and drabs of like work, whether it's marking or teaching work coming in, but nothing regular. I just keep getting rejections through for regular work, which is, it's not the most encouraging. I'm slightly hamstrung, or I've made it slightly harder for myself, because I'm trying not to move out of London because I've got a life here and I've got things here, and that makes things slightly harder in terms of finding academic jobs. I am looking outside of London, but I am trying to remain. But the places I'm looking outside of London, the way that a lot of the academic jobs are being advertised right now, we're about to get depressing here, by the way. So a lot of the academic jobs, the way that they're being advertised, and the way that they're working, as they will do like not even year contracts, sometimes just term long contracts, and these contracts are not always for like even regular. They don't give you a salary. So for example, I saw one recently in Bath where which is a town about like an hour and a half outside London, maybe longer. It's a very expensive town. It's an old historic town. It's really expensive to live there. And there was a job advertised for teaching for 1 term but it didn't tell you how many hours you were teaching. So it couldn't tell you a salary. It was an hourly paid job. And so there's no way to apply for that unless you already live in Bath, because otherwise you're going to move to Bath, somehow find a flat without knowing your salary, work there for less than 6 months for a term, and then move back somewhere else, or what? And there's like more and more jobs are working like that. More and more places are advertising jobs like that are just impossible to get. So it's just like it's just a constant, need to constantly apply and do a numbers game thing, and being rejected a lot, which is the same for all jobs, but it's never great. And it's like it slightly stings because, not even 10 years ago, like passing your PhD with no corrections is something that not many people do, which is it's lucky more than anything that I managed to do it. Lucky with the examiners I got and everything like that. But like 5 years ago, that would have made I would have been able to get a job much easier, much easier. But things have just gotten so bad, so bad, so quickly, so much worse so quickly, that it's just like I have publications, teaching experience, and like a PhD with no corrections. It's a hard grind to try and find a job with that. Yeah, live right in the middle of the UK. I mean, the real trick is to have no life, or relationships or connections with anyone, and be willing and able to pick up sticks and move anywhere at the drop of a hat, or be able to make sure any relationships you have are able to go long distance for an amount of time you're not sure of. That's really the trick of it. Make sure you've got no connections, or those connections that you do have are willing to go, full long distance with you, which is not really how I think an industry should work. Move to Germany and make a career out of shouting at the anti-Deutsch leftists. Yeah, actually, funnily enough, one of my examiners was a German guy who was when we went out to lunch afterwards was talking about how scary it is, and absurd it is for his colleagues, seeing people in his home country just absolutely lose any semblance of connection to reality, and their approach to his colleagues who are academics in Germany are losing any semblance of academic integrity over things like Palestine. It's Germany really seems like a dangerous place to be, worse than the UK, dangerous place to be. If you're Muslim or Palestinian, it's genuinely terrifying. One and a half hours is a long commute. See, it wouldn't be 1.5 hours. It would be it would be about 2.5 hours, because you'd have to get to the train station in London from where you could get to the other city, and then it would be the cost of it as well. we haven't talked about Doctor Who Christmas Special or New Dimension 20. Those are two things that those are two things we've not talked about yet. We can get to them. Watermelons in chat, we love to see it. Reminds you of that Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy quote. After all, with a degree in maths and another in astrophysics, what else was there to do? It was either that or the dole queue again on Monday. We don't even have dole queues anymore. We can't even do that without getting. It's depressingly, that's things are so much worse from when you could just go and get the dole. You can't do that anymore. I like the new Doctor Who. I like Ncuti Gatwa in lots of ways. He's hot and gay. It's great. I think Ncuti Gatwa's performance and the Lady Horatia, remind me if I forget. Yep, I can talk about that in a second. Yeah, I thought his performance was largely good. I did think that he's not quite got, or from what we saw, he's not quite got that sort of. There's a few moments in the episode where he does, but a lot of the time he doesn't have that sort of feeling that he's older. That a lot of Doctor Who actors are really good at, like, capturing this idea that it's a person who looks young but is really, like, very old underneath it all. There's like one or two moments, and like the moment where he was looking down at the baby, and that was like, okay, that's you can feel it there, but a lot of the time it wasn't quite there, I thought, in terms of that performance. But I think Ncuti Gatwa is going to be very good, and I think that's probably something that you can work on and will develop as the series goes on. I thought that the companion was fun. I thought that she was entertaining. I liked the Goblin song. I thought them singing a song was great. It was completely silly and just very fun. The ending was a bit rushed of the episode, with just like a very silly plan to end it, but whatever. In terms of like Christmas episodes, it was probably up there for one of the better ones. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot, and I liked how I'm not really sure about the bi-generation stuff either. I think it's fine, but whatever. I'm not angry about it. I'm just like, okay, that's fine. It doesn't make me mad or anything. But it is strange. I don't feel like we can judge a Doctor just off the pilot episode. I don't think so either. I don't think David Tennant's first episode was great at showcasing how he would become as the Doctor. He was good in it, but I don't think it was his best episode. Yeah, we are just leaving a trail of David Tennant's. I love how there's so many just options for David Tennant to come back, because he clearly loves doing it. He has very firmly cemented himself as the Tom Baker of the new regeneration, of the new regeneration of Doctor Who since 2005, which is fine. He deserves it. He loves the role and he loves doing it. It is the only way to give the Doctor a happy ending, which is nice. Hello, Sinan, how's it going? Oh, I was gonna for anyone who doesn't know, we do have D&D with Sinan on SK the Crusaders Twitch channel. next Thursday and every other Thursday. We did have a bit of a oopsie daisy, both of us, and that a couple of weeks ago I forgot that I was going to be on a train and missed the D&D, and then last week Sinan forgot that he was going to be on in the dentist during it. So, but we'll be back doing D&D from next week, which is going to be fun. So yeah, tune into SK the Crusade. Oops. Sorry, my stream disconnected for a moment, but we're all back. Alex Racing, I also missed like all of Chibnall, but is the Doctor not meant to be really upset that he did a massacre? Yeah, I mean, the Chibnall stuff is just almost all completely bad. It's just not good. I tried very hard to like it, but it's just not good. And it's really bizarre. I keep getting shown Doctor Who fan content on Twitter, and I just did not realise there were people who try to actually like that sort of era of Doctor Who, and like say, like, you're just reading what they're saying, like the Chibnall era is better than any other era of Doctor Who, and you're just like, you don't believe that. Like, I don't believe that you believe that. It's a shame that Jodie Whittaker had to go through with that worst sort of worst era. It's a shame that her writing was so bad. But you know, it's not good. It's not a good era. David Tennant is definitive. I mean, I think it is when he came back, and there was interesting things when he came back for these latest ones, and that he wasn't just doing the same performance as he was doing for when he was the Doctor in other situations. And you could see that there was differences, and I thought that was interesting. And you were just going, like, looking at him and being like, this is a fucking accomplished actor doing a good performance, and he is just fucking good at it. It is a shame that Russell T Davies completely betrayed. I think all of this is on Russell T Davies and the producers of Doctor Who more than it's on Christopher Eccleston. I think it's a shame that that Russell T Davies and the producers of Doctor Who were so bad to the crew, which seems to be the source of the problem, is that there was bullying on set, and Christopher Eccleston was very against that, and saw that nothing was being done about it, and that's why he hates it so much. Because he does like the character, and he would come back to the character, but he just really he does hate Russell T Davies and that sort of producer's crew, which is a shame. It's also a shame that Peter Capaldi's writing was so iffy. It had like really good bits and really bad bits, because when it was really good, it was really good, and Peter Capaldi was extremely good in that role. But there was less consistency, I think, in how good it was. But he himself is also another one who's just really good at it. A controversial opinion is that the Chibnall is the second worst era. I would be willing to hear that. I really, really hate Matt Smith's first few series with Karen Gillan and Arthur Darvill. I really hate it. I hate everything about it. I hate the twee costumes. I hate all the shit. I don't think Matt Smith really understood the Doctor until like his second half of his last series, when he's got Clara. I hated all that shit. I thought so much of it, and I revisited it relatively recently, which is like, so much of it is just not good. I don't know if it's worse than the Chris Chibnall stuff, because that stuff is just incompetent. But it's really bad. Was David Tennant better as the Doctor or the pirate captain in Pirates? David Tennant wasn't the pirate captain in Pirates. David Tennant was Darwin in the Pirates movie. I think the pirate captain was Hugh Bonneville, I think. Hugh Grant, yeah. Yeah, I have to say, I just really didn't like those Matt Smith seasons. I just don't. I really, really hated that tweed fucking bow tie, tweed jacket combo. It was like, it was the fucking worst. I hated that so much. Stephen Moffat's relationship with women is not great. I would say he wasn't great at not being misogynistic. That's what I would say. I'm Stephen Moffat. I gave Sherlock more time than I should have done. I think I enjoyed the first episode of Sherlock a lot, and I was pleased with I remember watching the first episode of Sherlock and being pleased with myself for figuring it out. And I was like, oh, okay, now this was good. And I enjoyed Benedict Cumberbatch and everything. And I gave it was fun. And I gave it more time than it should have done. And eventually I think it got to like, I don't know, the third season or something. And I was just like, this actually might be kind of rubbish. I think it was the third season that I was like, this is not good, actually. And then it became a parody of itself. So much of it just being, look how smart I am. Oh yeah, I don't know if you're talking about Doctor Who or Sherlock there, but it's both the same. Both Doctor Who and Sherlock have the whole thing is so Moffat of look how smart I am, look how smart and special and clever I am, and no one else is as smart or special or clever as I am. So there, isn't that great? The first two seasons of Skins were great. I remember watching that when I was about 15 and just loving it. What was I? He wrote Amy being really creepy to 11. Yeah, I mean, yeah, there was a lot of really really misogynistic stuff in that era of Doctor Who. Even like a lot of I really didn't like. It's sort of tangentially related. The way the treatment between of River Song and that was like kind of leering as well. And you kind of having seen a lot of Stephen Moffat's things, you're just like, Stephen, is this you? Are you working out your own shit through this? Like, you seem like you're trying to write something very specific with this domineering woman that you're quite leering about. Maybe work that out somewhere else and not just doing the same characters over and over again. That's exactly what I was going to say. The River Song stuff, it's a really good idea in that first episode. In that first, like, oh, this is someone from the future. I think they should have just left it. I think they should have dropped it there and never brought her back. And I think that would have been so much more interesting. This is just someone's from such a distance in the future that it doesn't, like, we can't even consider it. And that would have been fine. But bringing it back over and over again, it was like any mystery was lost, any interest. Every time she was brought back, it was just less interesting. With the exception of the last episode with Peter Capaldi and her in it. That was good, mainly because Peter Capaldi's great, and she had great chemistry with Peter Capaldi. that was fun, and that got Peter Capaldi managed to do his iconic line about the monarchy being a useless stratum of society, resting on the bent backs of the working classes. You love to see it from Peter. Favourite Eccleston episodes would be, nothing exciting. The gas mask episodes are obviously just some of the best that have ever been written. Favourite episode of David Tennant, maybe Midnight again, like nothing special. Midnight's great. I really like The Girl in the Fireplace. These are just standard, like these are just, everybody thinks that they're good episodes. Yeah. And obviously the best Peter Capaldi episode is Heaven Sent, which might be the best episode of Doctor Who I've ever seen. Which is a shame that the one that immediately followed it was just awful. It does feel cliche to repeat that, David Woods, that he wrote really good episodes but was bad at consistently stringing together a good season-long story arc. But like you saw that with that Empty Child, Girl in the Fireplace, both written by Moffat. The Heaven Sent, written by Moffat. Great episodes. But you know, he did write a lot of guff as well. Midnight is very like that. It's very similar to that one of the, what's it called? The second episode of the David Tennant revival ones. Do I like any media that I know is absolute sludge? I mean, I love Come Dine With Me. I like the odd reality show. Things like Come Dine With Me and Dinner Date. I know that absolute trash. I will watch the hell out of an episode of Dinner Date, which is fucking brilliant. River Song is the Weeping Angels. Yep, less interesting every time they appear. The same thing with the Weeping Angels just got lit. They should have completely left them behind on in that one episode as well. Just completely left it behind. Yeah, sludge TV. Any like Well Blue Yonder, that's what it was called. Yeah, that was fun. That was very like Midnight. I've never delved into Love Island. I think Love Island I don't think I would enjoy it. Love Island feels too exploitative. Like, the good thing about things like Come Dine With Me and Dinner Date is that the stakes are so low that like it doesn't feel as exploitative, because these are just like, nobody's getting really pettily horrible to each other for for like a paltry sum of money, and being able to brag to their middle class friends that they won Come Dine With Me. And that's what makes it so magical, is that it's not like, oh, we're winning this and it'll change your life. So people do these terrible things because winning this will be such a massive thing for their careers and stuff. That feels wrong to me. But doing an episode of Dinner Date, the stakes are so low on Dinner Date that Celebrity Dinner Dates are. It's like Celebrity Dinner Date are like, oh, what celebrity are you? Oh yeah, I was on season 3 of Take Me Out as one of the people who puts their lights off from Take Me Out. I never won it, but I was on a season for a while. Like, oh, okay, so yeah, this is where we're at. This is what the celebrity in this context means, is someone who was on a different game show once. And I think that's beautiful. I love it. I think it's so pure. Oh yeah. It's like the fact that it's conceivable that the celebrity has fewer Twitter followers than the person they're trying to date. I think that's brilliant. I think that's beautiful. Oh, there must have been YouTubers on maybe not Come Down With Me, but on Dinner Date. There must be. There must be some like lifestyle blogger who's been on Dinner Date at some point, and it would have been a disaster, and I would have loved it. You know, you can tell the fucking the producers will have been like, oh yeah, ask your date if they know who you are, and have been like, oh yeah, do you watch much YouTube? And the date would be like, I guess so. Yeah, sure. Like, well, I run a lifestyle blog that's got 75,000 subscribers on YouTube. I'm like, all right, good. I love makeup. Would I go on Dinner Date? I wouldn't be able to go on Come Dine With Me because I don't have that sort of vicious edge to me that you need to be on Come Dine With Me. You need to be a killer to come on Come Dine With Me. So I couldn't do that. Dinner Date. I wouldn't be able to be the person who's doing the dating because I would find that too stressful. I could maybe be someone who like makes a dinner, but the problem is you've got to like have like this, oh, you know, they've got something special planned, and it's usually like, you know, they've made a lemon posset in a glass or something. And I don't want to do that. I would love to see you on Come Dine With Me, Sinan. I think that would be beautiful. Oh, the voiceover guy, George Lamb I love George Lamb. I love how annoying he is. Like, he's so hateable. His voice is so loud, and his jokes are so shit that it all comes together. I don't want to watch good fucking voiceover on Come Down With Me. I want to watch the worst possible form of voiceover, and I get that with George Lamb, and it's beautiful. Gogglebox I could do. This is basically Gogglebox right now, isn't it? I can complain about shit easily. I would rip fucking ass in Gogglebox. You heard anyone on Channel 4 watching? I would rip fucking ass on Gogglebox. Straight from the fucking horse's mouth. Oh, Dave Lamb. George Lamb's his dad, isn't it? Yeah. I never actually watched Gogglebox much, but I feel like I would absolutely rip ass at it. Someone asked me about books earlier, if I'd read any good books recently. Gogglebox Sam is a show where they film people watching TV, and like they have like certain like characters who watch shows, and then you sort of watch their reaction to the shows they're watching, or the news that they're reacting to as well. It's such a inane thing that is another thing that's then how inane it is kind of beautiful, and you know, I would enjoy that. Yeah, I mean, it's basically like a lot of YouTube stuff. Yeah, so doing a quick handbrake turn to stuff because I realise that I will forget if I move on again. Things that I've read recently. I mean, a lot of the stuff I've read recently. I read The Rent Trap, which and I did a review of that for patrons, and that was interesting. What was interesting about reading The Rent Trap, which is a book that was published in 2015, basically about how bad rent is in the UK, how bad the condition of landlordism is, and essentially. The two main interesting things about that are how much worse things have gotten since that was published in 2015, where like you'd you'd read about a person's, they'd be like, oh, rents in London can be, upwards of £750 a month, and they've been so prohibitively expensive. And these days, £750 a month in London is good. That's a good rent. That's how bad things have got. That what was previously seen as prohibitively high, and what is prohibitively high, it still is prohibitively high, but it's also the lowest end of what you can get. It kind of that's quite illustrative of how bad things are, especially since that was 2015, less than 10 years since that was published. And the other interesting thing is there's a chapter that's like an ethnography of good landlords, people who think of themselves as like they're not criminals. They're giving friends or family rents for below market rates, and they consider themselves good landlords. And it's a really interesting chapter in how these people conceive of themselves and how they sort of lie to themselves about how they're actually good, at how it's actually fine that they're getting their friends to pay their mortgages, to buy them an asset, on threat of homelessness, and how the relationships between friends change because of that exploitative, innately exploitative relationship. And it's like quite fascinating. The author, one of them is a journalist, and the author was like interviewed some of these people, and it is just really fascinating to see the self-justifications happen, and the impact of this like social relation on the construction of their type of humanity, and how they construct their friends' humanity differently as landlords and as them as tenants. And that's really interesting. Another book which I read recently, which I thought was interesting, was the Family Abolition book by M.E. O'Brien. I finished that recently. I'm gonna do a longer Patreon review for that as well. Try and write that next week before I forget, and put out in February. But that was a really interesting book. That was really good for. There was lots of stuff that was really consistent with a lot of the stuff that I put out on this channel. So the book is done from an explicitly social reproduction theory framework, in examining the family as a means of doing social reproduction, and as part, there's like lots of interesting stuff about like histories of the family as part of social reproduction, the changing nature of the family in different years of capitalism, and different like resistances to the family. And there's a really interesting concept called insurgent social reproduction, which seems consistent with a lot of stuff on like housework strikes and things like that, as part of a general strike action, and the way that at blockades and at camps, different forms of social reproduction are pioneered, which break down family, traditional ideals of the family, to new and sort of liberatory frameworks. And that was really interesting. The biggest issue with that book is that despite dealing with it here and there is very little consistent treatment of disability as it relates to the family. And the reason I think that this is important, not just because it's important to deal with disability as a framework within any sort of left-wing thought, but because the ways in which and the histories of disabled people's changing relationships to the family, found family dynamics, communal living that the disabled people have done for like hundreds of years in the 20th century as well. In particular, like Judy Hunt's book on disabled history in the UK goes into this to some degree. that's really important and really relevant to different ideas of family and social reproduction and family abolition, and a part of the histories that are important to the narrative that is being crafted in this book. So it is like a major block, a major issue with the book, I think, not just in a way of like, oh, this would be good to add in, as in this is an important theoretical element which is conspicuous by its absence, which is to the book's detriment. Doesn't negate the book's value, but it is a good area of critique and something that's worth talking about in relation to it. Otherwise, it is a very interesting, very good book, and it's one of those areas, family abolition, that people are so knee-jerk insistent on thinking is like absurd, pie-in-the-sky, ultra-left nonsense, but makes just sense theoretically, especially if you approach it with a theoretical framework like the one I have and the one that I project through a lot of the videos on this channel, namely social reproduction theory. So yeah, those are the things. The other thing I've read recently was Ilan Pape's 10 Myths About Israel. That was really good. That was a really good and accessible book for I think getting people engaged to talk about Palestine, Israel-Palestine, and the genocide, the colonial nature of it. Is just really good. Probably I would say better as an introduction than the 100-Year War on Palestine, which I found historically rich but in some degrees politically limited in a way I didn't think Ilan Pape's 10 Myths About Israel was. Although he does reference Khalid's 100-Year War on Palestine very favourably, and it is very obviously itself a very useful text. Yeah, that was the other thing I've read recently. I think that's the 3 things I've read. 3 things I've finished this year so far. I'm still about 200 pages left in Black Reconstruction. It's so long. I'll get there eventually. Yeah, that's everything. Unsure Auckland. Thank you. I'm not sure I do it enough. But I try to. But yeah, I don't. It's an essential part of liberation, which is definitely not talked about enough, and I still need to be better at fully integrating it into my framework as well. Let's make a book club so we can talk about books on stream once a month. I mean, I do like the most. I don't think I'd have time for a book club. I do the book reviews for patrons once a month, and anyone who's in the Discord will have access to that stuff as well. I don't know. I don't think I have the capacity to do anything else, and unfortunately, at the moment, with everything that's going on. Oh, I mean, the Black Reconstruction is really good. A lot of the issue with it is that some of the middle chapters there's a lot of stuff that is just like, it's like descriptions of the progression of bills through Senate and Congress, and speeches by different fucking people, and you're like, it's really good at making me fall asleep. So I'd read it, and I just drop off within 5 minutes, and I'd get really annoyed because I'd be like, I was wanting to read more of this. But then you'd like read this like incredible, incisive paragraph that was like completely speaks to an amazing interpretation of history, of Marxists, of stretching Marxism to adopt Fanon in this context, in really interesting ways. You're like, yeah, this is so good. This is so good. And then you get back to like pages of bills going through Congress, and you'd be like, oh my god. But really, it is. I will get through it, and I think I got through the worst of like the dry stuff and the progressions of bills through Parliament, and I think I'm on to the more sort of less challenging areas of it. Alright. That's another glass of wine down. Let's change up the music. And then we'll talk about something else afterwards. I don't know what, but something. I have to think of what vibe to do this. Sorry, I wasn't feeling that one. Less good, that one, but it's fine. We'll keep that on just now. We'll do one. We'll probably end up doing one more before the end of the stream. So we'll figure out what to do there. Wine gone. Wine, the last of the wine. It's a big old glass, though. It will last a wee while. We've still got some time left in us, don't we? We've still got some discussions of things to go. If folk have questions. How many folk are we today? Actually, I've not even checked. How many? About like 8 of us. 60. Jesus. Hello, 60 people. That's a lot of us. Making more music that sounds like it's from a Sonic game. That is my goal. And the thing about Sonic music is it's great. A friend of mine once recently asked, and I'm doing this. I am planning to do this. Well, I've come up with some of the ideas already. Some of the demos to do some background music for some of his poetry, and I'm trying so hard not to make it Sonic music, because that's not the vibe he wants. He doesn't want Sonic music. He wants some more sort of like industrial stuff, some kind of like heavy guitar riffs. But I'm trying very hard to stop it from being just Sonic music. I feel like poetry over Sonic music would be fun, but maybe not the vibe that he's after. Yeah. Just some Dr. Eggman poetry. Sonic music's great fun though. Who doesn't like Sonic music? That Green Hills tune fucking goes. You know what I have done since we've since we've last spoke, is thank you, Tersek. That's very nice. I appreciate it. The style they go for is always a decade behind. Yeah. I'm a decade ahead at being a decade behind. That's how on it I am. As a book reader, how do you feel about the ways books do their chapter notes? I think I'm in a minority in that I like Harvard referencing. I like a bracket with your 4-year-old niece has good taste. I like a bracket with a name, even if it breaks up the text. I find it easier to not. Partly because this is just how I was trained. When I was an undergrad, everything we did was Harvard referencing, and so I just find it more intuitive because I was trained in that way. I just find it easier to find what I'm looking for if there's a reference and I can look back alphabetically where this is. I find it much easier. I don't like footnotes because I feel like they take up too much of the page. So if there are notes, I do prefer an end note in terms of that for chapters. But I know that I'm in the minority there, and I'm willing to admit that I'm just wrong and a citation pervert. One of the hard things about the video that I'm making for this class, which I will put up on Patreon, by the way, it's not stuff it's stuff that you all know before. It's stuff that I've covered before, but you know, it's good to have stuff to put up to you guys, and you know, give you some free educational stuff that the university is not going to steal from me. Yeah, because it's for a class, I don't have the ability to shorthand my references, so I'm having to put the whole reference on the screen, which is proving to be quite finicky. That's why I didn't manage to get out to my the department as quickly as I thought, because I had to finish with a bunch of references. So that's kind of annoying. Yeah, the reason why my if you notice, my citation method in videos is Harvard referencing. Brackets, name, date, page number, colon, page number, which relates to bibliography, and I just find it the easiest way to deal with citations, and I think it's a very clear way in video stuff to like indicate clarity in bibliographies. If we've all had our James Somerton scandals, our Illuminati rubbish referencing. I like mine to be clear. You have a name, you can go to it in the bibliography. The name and the date refers clearly to the bibliography. I just find it nice and simple and easy to follow for people, and it's easy for me as well. Better than just having like a one or a big or a longer. I know that Abby Philosophy Tube, which is actually her real name, Abby Philosophy Tube, does the longer citations at the top, but I just find mine. I toyed with doing more of that style because you give more information on the screen and people are more likely to like pause the screen and look up something. But I just find for ease of everyone, having the name and stuff it just gels with me better. Yeah, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, I have started playing. I recently finished Breath of the Wild. So when I came back from Scotland for after Christmas and New Year, first thing I did was oh, well done, Sinan. That's nice. I imagine being on that. I've never been on that jam. Being ahead of schedule and not having to work on anything. I find myself busier now than I was during the fucking PhD. Like, I've just, like, I don't know, I thought I would have more time. And suddenly everything's just piled up on me. I've got so much stuff going on. It's exhausting. Like, I've not even looked at job applications in, like, 2 weeks. I've not even looked at fucking video stuff. For ages. This is why video is not. I thought I'd be able to get more content out because I didn't have a fucking PhD to do, and things have just piled up. I just seem to have like slammed with everything in January. Maybe it'll calm down. More than just fucking PhD. My job ended on Monday. I'm now actually just fully unemployed. I guess, aside from YouTube. So let's hope that keeps going. Yeah, that job ended on Monday, so I should have more time, but I have no time. Everything's taking ages. I've got so much stuff. I've had this book proposal that I've been meaning to do for months, and everything's just piling. It's exhausting. I need to get on it. I need to. Part of the problem might be because I'm spending a lot of time playing Baldur's Gate 3, which is what I was about to talk about. Hello, Untitled Anarchist. Welcome. You've reached the more ranty style of the stream at this point, where the wine is almost gone. The wine is gone, but the words are flowing. Yeah, so the first thing I did when I came back down after Christmas, instead of doing all the things that I should have been doing because apparently everything is piling up, was finished Breath of the Wild. I finally finished Breath of the Wild. Got to Hot Ganondorf's room. Killed Hot Ganondorf. It was really good. It was satisfying. I Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, whatever, was great game. Really enjoyed it. And then I finally started playing Baldur's Gate. Sinan, how dare you? I hate Gale. I hate Gale so much. He's such a fucking fanny. I really like Baldur's Gate. It's really enjoyable. I've been playing it in a way that I play it in a very like straightforward sort of good playthrough. My character is a rogue monk multi-class, which is just the most broken. If you know anything about D&D, rogue monk multi-class, broken as fuck player build. You can do absurd stuff like 5 attacks. Once you get to like level 3 rogue, level 5 monk, you can break things. It's a great build. But it's just like as a tiefling character, his name's Craig, but spelt with a K because it's fantasy, which made me laugh every time I see him. Like, I'm so funny. So the party that I have is I have Astarion, Karlach, and Shadowheart. In terms of characters let's do characters I don't like. I hate Gale and I hate Will. They're wankers. Fucking get the fuck out of here. Gale's such a smug piece of shit. You know how I feel about wizards, Sinan? I'll spell Craig in the chat. That's Craig. Tiefling monk rogue, yeah, that's the build. Which is a very solid build. I hate Gale. I hate Gale so much because he's just a smug piece of shit. Will's very boring, and he also tries really hard. Way after, I never tried to seduce Will because he gets on my tits. But he kept trying, and I felt too bad. I'm too emotionally invested in not upsetting these fake computer characters that I kind of just like awkwardly accepted dancing with him, and I was like, yay! And then I was like, you have to back off. I don't like you. You're really boring, and you're a dickhead. You were horrible to Karlach, who is a real. Karlach is my favorite. I like Karlach a lot. But I fucked up. My characters ended up with Shadowheart as well, but mainly because I fucked up trying to keep my flatmate was trying to get me to keep going with like Astarion's romance sort of subplot as well, because he really liked the storyline of it, and I like Astarion as well. He's got a really interesting story, which is why I've kept him in the party, despite the fact that I kind of do all the rogue stuff already, and it would probably make more sense to have one of the other folk, the wizard, or Halson, probably the wizard, in the party instead, because we kind of double up. But yeah, I've got Astarion still about, and I was trying to like sort of finesse keeping those two on the hook for as long as possible, and ended up fucking up the Karlach romance, not in like a she was mad way, just like the romance options just stopped appearing, and then at the same time it kind of also fucked up the Astarion ones, where the Astarion romance options stopped appearing, and it was just, and everyone was just like, and I just kind of got sort of railroaded into, that's the wrong, forget that framing, it's got kind of like pushed into Shadowheart. I think Shadowheart's an interesting character as well. I just got into Act 3, so I've just been wandering around the circus. So I've done Act 1 and 2, just going into Act 3 now. I do think Shadowheart's an interesting character, more interesting than Will and Gale. So like, it's not an issue, but it's just like, you know, it wasn't what I was initially going for. I was just trying to finesse things and then fucked up. I like Karlach so much. She's such a good egg. And Astarion's fun. I like Halsin as well, the druid. There was a moment where I was talking to Halsin the druid. I was like, "What do you like to do?" And he was like, "Oh, it's a bit embarrassing. I like whittling." What do you like whittling? He goes, "Well, I like whittling ducks." And I was like, "I like ducks too, Halsin." I also like ducks, and I would give it all up for you. You seem lovely. The game makes the party relentlessly unpleasant, except for Karlach, who's fucking great. Karlach is unrelentingly, throughout the whole thing, fucking brilliant. And there's no problem with her. She isn't unpleasant. There's a moment where in Act 3 where we're about to go into the circus, and she goes, "Oh, can we go into the circus?" I'm like, "Yeah, man. Yeah. If I wasn't planning on going into the circus, I would be now. Fuck yeah, we're going to the circus. We're gonna make you happy. You've got a limited time left. We're gonna go to the circus. And it's gonna be nice. Because you're sound." But yeah, that's sort of my experience so far with Baldur's Gate. Is that it is a really fun game. Sometimes there are options, like I've fucked up a few dialogue options a few times because I've misinterpreted what is being said. Like, sometimes it'll give you a line of dialogue that's like, I'm trying to think of an example. It's like something like, you'll have an option to say, "Whatever, let's do whatever you want to do," and not like, you know, that's not a real example, but it's like, "Whatever, let's do what you want to do." And there's two different ways to interpret it. That there's one that's like dismissive, like, "Whatever, we'll do whatever you want to do," and then there's one that's caring. It's like, "Whatever, we can do whatever you want to do." And I have interpreted some of those lines badly a few times, given the reaction that the game has given to me, where it's been like, you know, "Oh, I think this is a you know, a nice thing to say," in the way I was imagining the tone of voice of it, and the game's like, "Fuck you." Karlach, I've been doing some Karlach throwing shit, is great stuff. Gale will ask to spend time with you, and that will mean you're boinking now, even though that wasn't said. I mean, Gale's a fuckboy. I remember my flatmate was saying to me, like, when we were starting, was like, "Gale's a fuckboy," and I was like, what do you mean? And then hours into the game, you're like, "Fuck, man, Gale's a fucking fuckboy." Like, any opportunity, he's like, "Let me show you some magic. How about I guide your arms and show you the mysteries of the world?" And you're like, I need you to back the fuck off, first of all. Secondly, keep it in your pants. Nobody wants it. You're a you have a mullet. I don't want that. I don't want a mullet in my life. And just leave me alone. Like, I get you're a wizard, and wizards are the worst, but please, don't inflict that on me. One day I'm going to play a D&D character who's a wizard, and it's not going to be the worst. I get a revolutionary thing where I'm playing a wizard who's not the fucking worst. I save scum. I want an escape from reality with a power fantasy. But my life's hard enough between organising IWW and grad school that I never miss dialogue. I don't save scum. There's a few times where I'm like, there's a few times where I do that I'm like, not sure exactly how this dialogue is gonna play out, and I'm not sure what like the interpretation of it. And a lot of the time, if I'm not sure the interpretation of the dialogue, then I'll save and be like, does this mean this or does it mean this? And I better check before I actually. And I sort of like justify that in my head of being like, I don't actually know. I know what I would want to say in this situation, but I don't know if the options correlate to what I actually want to say. My wizard would be the worst. I think there is Liam O'Brien's wizard in the second campaign of Critical Role. He's good. I enjoy him. He's a bit like Liam O'Brien's characters, way too self-serious. We were going to talk about Dimension 20. Siobhan's character, she's a wizard in Dimension 20. She's great. I love her. She's fun. And I do like the thing. We can talk about this in a minute. Actually, sorry. Bottle of wine down. The words are tumbling out before each other. There's a great wizard character coming up in the campaign, maybe. Well, we won't call him a wizard because in our game, calling people a wizard is bad. It's a bit of a bad word to call someone a wizard in mine and Sinan's D&D game. Liam Celsius, yeah. Abigail Abernott, yeah. Yeah, let's talk about Dimension 20. Adine Abernant, yeah. Someone asked earlier about Dimension 20. We started watching the. For anyone who doesn't watch Dimension 20, Dimension 20 is probably the best actual play D&D sort of content out there. It's just great. They edit it more than Critical Role, so it doesn't drag in a lot of areas. They don't do a lot of like shopping episodes, and also most of the cast are like improvisers, so it's a lot funnier. And they recently put out their Dimension 20 is worth watching, Sinan. Yeah, Dimension 20 is really, really good. It's very funny. There'll be no junior year spoilers, but they just released the third season of so the first campaign that they ever did was like a John Hughes style high school sort of fantasy high school adventuring party thing, and they've just started the third season of that, and it's really fun because they don't do that many longer campaigns. It's mostly like one series thing, sort of like almost one shots, but they're one series shots. So like this is Fantasy High is the most like in-depth characters they've got, and it's really fun. And the new series of that is out right now. Where they've got one of the fun things, someone was saying that sorcerers are better than wizards, is in that school the sorcerers are just chill as fuck because they don't have any classes, because sorcery is just like an innate talent, so they just sort of hang around and are just chill with each other, whereas the wizards are just massive swats which is exactly what it is. My favourite series of Dimension 20 though is the one that they did like a space series of like like one character was a brain slug that had got into the brain of a ship's captain and was just like a good dude who was just like a nice brain slug. And it had one of the best sort of actual play moments of D&D that I've ever seen, where one of the characters just absolutely fucked it for the DM in a way that you can see the DM figuring out that she's fucked him, and which is great fun. That's nice. But there's a moment where he just like he shouts like, "How did you know there was gonna be an obelisk? How did you know that was gonna happen?" Because having an obelisk was just the thing that needed to happen for this absurd plan to go on. But yeah, that Dimension 20 is so good. I thoroughly recommend it. Right. Let's change up the music one last time, and then we'll finish off this drink. The plinth. Yeah, how did you know there was going to be a plinth? It's great. It's great. Sorry, guys, didn't like that. So we're gonna have to, I know that took a while. We're gonna have to do it again. The chicken run 2 video is coming out. That's why I bought a chicken onesie. It will be coming. Sorry, we're gonna need to tune. I figured, one of the reason there why things weren't going well is because I've not tuned. Give me 1 second, and then we'll get back to it. Thanks for coming along, Liz.
not overly happy with that, but you know, it's something to end on. Gary Rings, we have David Tennant if he was a leftist YouTuber. I get that a lot, and I'm not sure if it's because, you know, people are just confused by the fact that I'm Scottish, or if I actually, you know, it's the most common thing. The two most common people I get compared to are David Tennant and Ron Weasley. Not Ron Weasley, sorry, the brothers, whatever the brothers of the twin brothers. That's they're the people that I get most compared to, David Tennant and those two, which is interesting because I feel like they've got quite different vibes. David Tennant's good though. I quite enjoy that. It's nice to be compared to someone who's, you know, famously handsome. I do feel like it's mostly people confused about, you know, they hear a Scottish accent and they see a pointy face and they're like, you know, we're connecting two things in the head. Compared to twin brothers, it's that old Frankie Boyle joke, isn't it? Like where Frankie Boyle gets compared to one of the Proclaimers, and he's, what do you mean one of the Proclaimers? They're twins. Long face, yeah, like a horse. Long pointy face like a horse or a swan. I guess that's it. And Scottish, you know. The other one is Ewan McGregor, and I don't think I look like Ewan McGregor at all. I think that is just people confused about being Scottish. My brother looks a bit like Ewan McGregor. My brother has short hair, or not even short hair. When he shaves his head, he looks a bit like Ewan McGregor in Trainspotting, which is quite funny. Especially when he's skinnier, when he's not been to the gym much, he looks a bit like Ewan McGregor in Trainspotting. It's just I think a lot of people just get confused with the Scottishness of it. It's either that or Gimli. The Scottish heroes you've got David Tennant, Gimli. You've got who else you got? You've got Chicken Run, the engineer lady, Chicken from Chicken Run. Who else have you got? Not really many other people, do you? Most of the time, Scottish like celebrities spend their time. Oh yeah, you got Shrek. That's the other one. Most of the time, those Scottish celebrities are out there pretending to be posh English people. I guess that's what English people have a. Oh yeah, Jamie Fraser. Yeah, I don't get that. And yeah, that's he's his own thing. I used to go around to my brother's flat when he lived in Glasgow. We both lived in Glasgow at the same time, and he lived with an Irish lady. And she'd just go on about how Jamie was a total ride. We'd go over to watch Outlander, and she'd just be like, "Oh, he's a fucking ride. That Jamie Fraser, he's a fucking ride." Yeah, he's hot. I feel a bit sorry for the actor that he plays that. Well, I mean, first of all, because of the amount of sexual harassment he gets, which is obscene. But also, I don't think he knows how to leverage his career. I don't think he knows where to take it after Outlander. His whole life has just been being Outlander. And just being a ride for ladies. I don't know if he's figured out how to leverage his career after that. And you see him on like, I saw a picture of him. Oh, I felt so bad. There was a picture of him on Jimmy Fallon. I follow him on Instagram because he's a total ride. And he posted this photo of himself on Instagram on Fallon. And they'd done this thing. They'd like photoshopped his face and his smile to such like a absurd degree that he looked like a waxwork model of himself. And it just made me feel sad because I was like, man, you don't need to do this. You just you don't need to do this. It's a shame. You know, you're fine. You're a fine actor. You don't need to do this. So yeah, most of the things he seems to do these days are the whiskey tour with the beard guy who's also an Outlander. That seems to be his main thing, and he's in like some rom-com. He's in the odd rom-com that never does very well. So it's just a shame. I feel like he's more talented than he's been given credit for, because Outlander was. I mean, I'm sorry for anyone who likes Outlander. It's shit. It's not a good show. It was good for one series and then it went off the rails. He is a ride, but he's a better actor than that show, as is almost everyone who's in that show. And it just feels a shame. I mean, I'm sure he's a millionaire, so who cares? Graham McTavish. Now a Kiwi, huh? I didn't know that. Following the footsteps of coloniser Scots everywhere and becoming a Kiwi. Reminds me of the I told the story in an old video I did on Scottish nationalism a while back. But in one of Scotland's attempts to reconcile with colonialism, and one of the Scottish government's claims that they were doing so, they did this whole campaign of Scots abroad, Scots history abroad, and every member of the poster that they did for Scots abroad was white, and they were all like, you know, talking about going to New Zealand and being like, yeah, we're Scots abroad, and you're like, what do you mean Scots abroad? What do you mean? What does that mean? What are you trying to say? And then the Scottish government, instead of like being like, oh yeah, no, what we meant was Scots who colonised, instead what they did was just photoshopped in a picture of an Indian man, and they were like, yeah, we done that. We done that. We nailed that shit. We fucking nailed it. We photoshopped in an Indian man, and for Scots abroad, year. That's it. What's that video called? It's called like what's it called again? I think it might just be called Scottish Imperialism or something like that. It's an old video. I did it quite a long time ago, like about 3 years old. I think it might just be called Scottish Imperialism. Let me just check. Scottish Imperialism, Cultural Amnesia, and Ben Shapiro, actually. That's what it's called. Oh yeah, certified sorcerer got it. I quite liked that video. I think it was one of my better ones. I wore a tartan cowboy hat in it, which has layers of colonizer shit going on, which I think is quite fun. Someone gave me shit. Someone gave me shit on Twitter the other day because I posted a picture of myself with the fucking chicken onesie on, and they were like, they quote tweeted it being like, oh, every boring left-wing philosophy channel descends into pageantry, and I was just looking at it being like, first of all, I am not left-wing philosophy. That's not me. Secondly, I've been doing pageantry at the level of a chicken costume for years. I wore a tartan cowboy hat years ago. I drank 3 cartons of soy milk for a video once. We've been doing pageantry on this sort of low level for a while. And thirdly, if a chicken costume, if a chicken onesie is your limit for pageantry, you must live a fucking unfabulous life. An unfabulous life. Pageantry is well beyond a chicken outfit. That's boring in my book. That annoyed me, and I was like, I don't want to quote tweet this because it would be mean, but it annoyed me on such like a profound level. Let me dress in my chicken outfit and do my silly little chicken run video, and we'll get back to the boring philosophy that I don't actually do. It's not philosophy, is it? But we'll get back to it anytime. I can't afford. We're not going to become Philosophy Tube. We're not going to become ContraPoints. We can't afford to. We don't have the fucking capital for it, or the patience. But what we do have the capital for is a £15 onesie of a chicken, and I will wear it, and I will use it for my hangover days. I did 3 costume changes in the last video. 3! And those costume changes were putting on a turtleneck and then putting on a high-vis jacket. Costume changes. This is effort. I'm so upset with myself for forgetting to do the chicken interviews. I can't believe I forgot to do that. I've been up in Scotland so much this month. It's been my major expense in January is train tickets back and forth to Scotland because of just shit that I've had going down. Like, I was up last weekend for a friend's 30th. I was up the week before. I was up in January, at the very start of January, and I had so many opportunities to interview chickens about Chicken Run, and I just didn't remember. I'd forgotten that was a part of the videos, which is I should probably rewatch that video. I enjoy the Shrek video. It's I just resented the accusation that I was somehow selling out for dressing in a chicken onesie for a video which again will be a shit post. Like, the Chicken Run video was a shit post, and this will also be a shit post. There are chickens in London, yeah. There's city farms, but let's be honest. I'm gonna film this video next week. I'm not gonna make my way to some chickens by then. It's not gonna happen. I have shit to do. One thing I am gonna have to do is travel on the London Tube. My graduation is in 2 weeks. 2 weeks today, actually. That means 2 weeks today there probably won't be a stream because it will be my graduation day and I'll be out with my parents. But it will mean that I have to travel for about an hour across London to get to my university wearing my kilt, and that's gonna be embarrassing. Because there's one thing like wandering through like last time I've done graduations has been wandering through Glasgow, and there's one thing wandering through Glasgow in a kilt. It's like, people understand sometimes you gotta wear a kilt. There's another thing wandering through London, from like near Canary Wharf to fucking Bloomsbury in a kilt, which feels like you're trying to get attention. And in February as well, it's gonna be cold, and there's no way to there's no ability for me to drop off shit, so I can't go in normal clothes and then change into the kilt. I'm gonna have to wear the kilt at my flat and then walk out in my kilt for about 40 minutes before my graduation. So that's gonna be fun. It'll be nice to wander through these areas of London in kilted. So yeah, I forgot about that actually. 2 weeks 2 weeks today, there won't be another stream. I might do it on the Wednesday, just because, I feel bad about not having done streams yet in January and wait until the end. So I might do one on the Wednesday, but if not, it'll be another month until the next stream. So I will let everyone know what's going on. Can't you just wear a long coat over the top? Might look like you're flashing. The only long coat I have would definitely not work with a kilt. No, it would look profoundly odd to wear a long coat with a kilt. I mean, with the full regalia of like PhD graduation shit, and in the UK, I'm gonna look imposing as fuck, because it's like you gotta wear these huge robes. You wear this little onion hat that's like, it's not a mortarboard, it's like a particular onion hat, and they've got really like bulky robes. So I'll be wearing these bulky robes with a kilt, with this big hat, and like with the hat I'll come to like 6'6" tall, and like this huge billowing cape behind me. So I'm gonna look like imposing as fuck, and I've been asked to. I actually don't know if I'm still doing this, because I haven't followed up with it, and I kind of don't want to. My supervisor said that he nominated me to do a speech at this graduation, so I might have to like be imposing as fuck and give a speech, which I'm not that excited about, because it's gonna have to be complimentary. They'll be like now to give us a speech, now to give us a look into the future, an inspiring look into the future of these new graduating PhDs. We've got John Duncan, and then I will come up to the stage, and there's no way that I'm not talking about how, like, if I do this, there's no way I'm not talking about how, while we have all worked hard, we are all entering into a job market which is fundamentally stacked against us because of the innate and horrendous marketization of education that is being imposed from the top for ages, which has included the firing of half of the administrative staff of the very university in which we have graduated, which has resulted in a huge number of issues for students across the years. I know, because I was the student body fucking representative against my will for about 2 years, 3 years maybe, and each year all the students had the same problems, and the only reason they had those same problems is because half of the administrative staff were fired because of COVID rules. Now, it's not the most inspiring graduation speech, is it? As you know, we're all fucked for the reasons that we all got fucked by this very university. But I can't see myself saying anything different. I just can't. Like, I'm seeing my supervisor tomorrow. We're all going for a drink with some folk from the last conference that we went to, which is going to be fun. But if he confirms that I am doing that, then there's no way that I am not just standing up and being like, you know, as much as a lot of the staff, like there's some particular staff that are fucking fantastic in the admin of the university. As good as they are, their lives are horrendous because of the decisions of the management and the decisions of UKRI, the oversight body for UK higher education, and government ministers. They all make their life hell, and they make the life of people who are just graduating hell. And there's no way that, like, you can do a speech that's like positive about that, can you? We all know that we're going out into a job market that's fucked, that's gonna drain us of our passion and our energy and our money. Nobody wants to hear that on their graduation, though. Nobody wants that. They just want the Kamala Harris "We did it, Joe" meme. But I just there's not a chance. The person who's recommended you to do the speech is coming on to you. The person who's recommended me to do the speech was my supervisor, and he said they were looking for someone who had who could do public speaking and was a bit charismatic. And Damien, who's a massive fan, because Damien's lovely and huge fan of everything, and you know, half the reason that I actually have a PhD, recommended me. So we'll see. Counting on me to say this shit. I wouldn't put it past him. When I told him if I could say this sort of things like that, he was like, yeah, go for it. We did it, Joan. Alright, we have reached 11 o'clock, and the wine is done. Unless anyone has any burning questions, anything they want to get off their chest or ask in the last few minutes, fire them away now. Otherwise, we'll start to bring it to a close. So, thanks for joining us again. And you know, every time I say any last questions, people just think, you know, they just dip. But genuinely, anything else, we've got time. So, you know, any questions, fire away. How about buddy, we have been talking about the new chicken run already. I have seen it. The video will be coming out in the next couple of weeks on the new chicken run, and you'll get all my thoughts on the new chicken run and how communist it is. Then. It's unfortunately the movie is just not quite as good as the original. But yeah, we will. That video on the new chicken run will be coming out soon. You know, there's no way I wasn't ever gonna do a video on the new chicken run. Like, still by far the most viewed video that I've ever done. Even though it is blocked in so many countries. Looking forward to hearing what you say. Hearing that you said what you really want to say in your speech. I mean, if I am gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. Like, there's no way I'm not gonna fucking check it out. What'll be the fucking point? Because, you know, I'm not burning any bridges. I wouldn't get a job in that university anyway. And the only person I need some positive reviews from are my supervisor, and he'll give me positive reviews anyway. So, you know, if I'm forced to do the speech, I'll do the speech the way I want to. Thank you, Eoth Amek. I appreciate the good vibes. I don't know if people will be thanking me, as more people will be coming up being like, John, that was hugely depressing, and fuck you. Alright, it seems like we have reached the end then. What bands do I listen to? Burning questions. You know what I've been getting really into recently, and I feel bad about. Why did I say that? I feel bad. I said that like an American. I feel bad about that. Oh my god. I feel bad about it because it's so stereotypical. As I've been getting into public service broadcasting, who are they're really good, but they're such like a specifically. They're like such you're a left-wing guy in your late 20s to mid 30s, you're into public service broadcasting. kind of band. They're so stereotypical to be into. But they've got two particularly two really good albums, which are concept album on the space race and an album on the history of the Welsh mines, going from like the opening of the mines to strikes and all that stuff. And what they do is like take archival not footage, but like audio from the eras that they're doing concept albums of, and they sort of filter it into the music. So like the song in their Space Race album, the Yuri Gagarin song, is such a fucking banger, and it has like it starts with the broadcast of Yuri Gagarin making it into space, and it's like there's a drop where it goes, first man in space, Yuri Ilyich Gagarin, and it goes dun 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 bam bam, and it's such a fucking great tune. And then they've got the album with like the miners in Wales, and they've got this like really really good albums on like songs of like they incorporate interviews with miners about like what it means to be a miner during like the 60s, the 50s and 60s, and then what it meant to be a miner on strike during Thatcher's attacks on the mines. And the songs are so fucking good, and I've just been like listening to that over and over again. But it's been a slight divergence to the stuff I've been listening to previously a lot, which has been a lot of like neo soul, Emily King, Ilana Havers and stuff like that. So that's what I've been listening to recently. Which, you know, I'd fully recommend listening to. Good shit. It took me ages to listen to the miners one, because I was like, I thought it would be kind of just like miserable, because you know the story of mining in the UK is not a happy story. So I thought this album would be a bit miserable, but it's not fucking miserable. It's beautiful. Like some of the songs are just great. Some of them are sad. Some of them are angry. Some of them are just like melancholic and beautiful. Just, you know, good shit. And I'd fully recommend public service broadcasting for anyone who wants to listen. So yeah, that seems like the last of our burning questions for this evening, and with that we will bring this stream to a close. We didn't even fucking. The one thing I was going to talk about and sort of make fun of was there were two things I was going to make fun of during this stream, which was the plans by UK government ministers to conscript people into their wars, which isn't going to happen, and the stuff on Nicola Sturgeon's reaction to Boris Johnson that was leaked. We didn't talk about either of that stuff. You been to a Welsh mine? I grew up in mining towns. I grew up in the place where I grew up was an old mining town that it has. I don't want to dox myself. You can access my old mines near where I grew up. You can go and tour them, and it's really really interesting. Going and like folk that I grew up with, they're like family were miners until like it wasn't long ago that mining was the major industry in the towns where I grew up in. And when I grew up in those towns, between late 90s, mid 2000s, they were devastated because the industry was completely fucked. So when I grew up in the town I grew up in, when I grew up in it, which is before now we have a railway which connects us to Edinburgh, but before that there was no railway connecting us, so we were cut off from Edinburgh really. And the town had this reputation for being a really bad place to be, because since the mines were closed, any industry, any life, any ability to live in that area was completely cut off from anyone except people who had, like, I grew up in a like very like secure middle class family because we had a car to get to the town to work. But if you didn't have a car, if you couldn't afford to run a car, you were fucked if you lived in that town. So the town decayed. And I remember like talking to people about less than 5 years ago and telling them that I was from the town that I'm from. They wouldn't believe me because they were like, you can't be from there. That's like such a dangerous place. It's such a shithole. And it's not anymore because the railways turned it into a commuter town. But for like 20 years, it was viewed of as this complete no-go area because of the decimation of mining and just the cutting off of this area from any other part of the country. So it's like interesting to hear. That's why the Welsh mining story, I think, connects really well with me, because I'm like, although it's not a family history that I am connected to, like my family history would have been like fishermen, or my dad's side would have been like shipbuilders, because my dad's from Glasgow, my mum's from Shetland. They're not mining areas, so there wouldn't have been mining. Like there's no like family mining connection, but the sort of growing up in an area and seeing the decimation of the end of mining and the way in which that was completely the social, like growing up in the ruins of mining, gives you a really specific perspective on that story that's really melancholic and like hard to communicate to people who didn't grow up in that sort of area. But I feel like that's quite a common, like North America, there's so many North American old mining towns that are fucked, so many English and Welsh mining towns that are fucked. That's quite an expansive experience. It's just, if you didn't grow up in that particular vacuum of life, it's hard to communicate what it feels like. And like, when I was about 12 years old, a supermarket opened about 5 miles away, and it destroyed all the local shops in the area. And it's like my village used to have a high street even after the mining era, but then a Tesco opened up and we no longer had that. And like the complete vacuum of life, that was like the last nail in the coffin of any life that existed in this village, just taken away. And it's a really melancholic situation, because even now the town's rejuvenated in that the railway is moved in, so it's now a commuter town, and it's now got all these new built houses that are, you know, increasing the value of the area, and lots of people are moving in, and the area has not got quite as bad a reputation as it had before. But you can still feel that kind of absence of place, destroyed by the decimation of mining, and destroyed by the Tesco supermarket superstore entering down the road. And now the high street, even with this rejuvenation, the high street just looks like the things it has on it are funeral parlours and hairdressers. There used to be a bakery when I was a kid. There's no bakery. There used to be a flower shop. There's no flower shop. There used to be a butcher and a fishmonger. They're dead. It's just, what there is now is 2 funeral directors and 2 hairdressers. It's a really melancholic, perspective on a village's life. So like, it's really strange. Like, there's only one pub in this area. There used to be, like, they weren't they weren't good pubs, but there used to be 3 pubs in this village. The Goth was one of them. There was one that had, I'm not going to use the name just in case people know where it is. One of them had bars in the window because people kept getting thrown out the windows. And my dad invited them all round for a New Year's party once, which got my mum kind of annoyed. And then there was a third, which still exists, and only one of those still exists now. And that's the only place that people can like exist as a community, is this one pub. It's very weird. Anyway, that was a huge tangent. We are leaving now after that massive tangent about the melancholic post-mining existence of towns in Scotland. You asked what bands I'm listening to, and I went on a 15-minute rant about life in Scottish towns. Thank you, everyone. I will, as ever, leave the music on for a wee while afterwards, and let everyone filter out and chat as they please. Welcome to 2024. We will be doing try and get some fucking good videos out this year. I don't know what we're gonna do. I don't have actually that many ideas, but we will we'll do some interesting stuff, and I'll see yous, if not in 2 weeks, in 4 weeks. Remember to tune in to D&D at SK the Crusader next Thursday at 6 PM UK time, where I'll be doing Dungeons and Dragons with Sinan on Twitch at SK the Crusader, where I'll be playing my character Art Junk, and that's very fun. See you then.